Good afternoon and welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2025. I'll call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. First item on the agenda under agenda item 1.1, Land Acknowledgement. The town of Coaldale acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot peoples of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot peoples past, present, and future while recognizing their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The town of Coaldale is also home to Métis District 1 Foothills. Agenda item 1.2, Conflict of Interest Declaration, Pecuniary and Non-pecuniary. Are there any in the room this afternoon? None declared, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 2.1, Acceptance of the Agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda for February 24th, 2025? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council adopt the regular council meeting agenda for February 24th, 2025 as circulated? Councillor Pickering makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in order? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3.1, the adoption of the previous minutes from February 3rd, 2025. Were there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Councillor Beekman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 13.1 has it carried unanimously when in fact Councillor Abrey and myself were opposed.
Thank you. Our municipal clerk made note of that. Any other errors or omissions? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council approve the minutes from February 3rd, 2025 as amended? Councillor Beekman makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So the next item that's coming up is delegation by appointment by our Staff Sergeant Mike Numan. But before he presents, we are going to move ahead to agenda item 8.1 under new business, the swearing in of Deputy Mayor Lisa Reis, and Staff Sergeant Mike Numan will be performing the ceremony. So moving to agenda item 4.1, delegation by appointment. As I said previously, R.C.M.P. Staff Sergeant Mike Numan will be presenting on the 2024 year-end statistics. Staff Sergeant, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greetings, Council, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town of Coaldale, and members of the public that are here tonight. Thanks for having me again. I will be presenting the year end as well as the quarter three statistics. I believe that was what you were presented with in your package. We'll start first with the letter. It's a letter that goes to all the communities. Basically, just kind of gives a snapshot of the quarter as far as anything new that's going on. And again, we are in the coming weeks planning to prepare for our town hall meetings that we hold in this town. I do once a year, and it kind of coincides with the town event in October, and I think that's a really good fit. And I think we'll continue to prepare for October 25 for the next town hall for the town of Coaldale. I guess by then we'll also figure out what's happening with the new policing committee maybe, and see if that can kind of fold into that as well. Also in the letter talks about something that's kind of new, but not really. It's more formalized, the Real-Time Operations Center, RTOC, that supports the province of Alberta, all the R.C.M.P detachments across Alberta. Historically, many times we don't have senior members or supervisors working in some of the small detachments. It's members, whatever level of service they have. So this RTOC, they work 24/7. There's always a senior member on, a sergeant or higher, or staff sergeant. And basically they monitor all the incoming calls for service and deal with providing resources, advice, guidance when there's no supervisor working at the detachment. So that's really been formalized in Alberta, and it's able for us to deploy all our R.C.M.P resources, lean on our city partners if we need to, our federal, provincial, and in Alberta and nationally. So they are using cutting edge technology as well. We all have an app on our phone now where they know exactly where we are. So for officer safety and public safety, that is a really good thing to have for the members and for the public. That should cover the letter. We'll go into the municipal policing report. This is for the quarter three, October to December of 2024. Our community priorities were the three priorities that have been all year. The first one, traffic safety. This incorporated October, November, December, so obviously through some of the holiday season there, etc. We do follow our traffic safety calendar, which the province sets. So I do know that we did some violations for seatbelt, speed, electronic devices, so using your phone in the vehicle, which none of us do, I know. And 17 violation tickets in check stops or operations were issued during those joint efforts. We work continuously with our ITU members, which is our integrated traffic unit, as well as the sheriff units as well. And we did get 3 impaired driving charges during our check stops, and they weren't long check stops either, so that is a bit concerning. They're just a snapshot, 45-minute an hour check stop, and you know, we're still getting that kind of result. So it's still a problem in the community and in the country, I would say. So we just need to focus on getting that public safety message out there to not drink and drive for sure. We'll continue to monitor that in this this quarter 4 that we're in now. Our priority 2 is police community relations and our police visibility. We had a lower number of foot patrols due to increased call volume and the temperatures early in November, and you know, we certainly will increase that during the summertime and get back on the bikes again like we did last year. We do still continue to do the community events. This quarter was lower than other quarters, just due to we had some absences in our staffing, so we weren't able to do as many. But our members are still heading into the schools once a month at the minimum. Some go once a week, just depending on time. And I think that's a valuable asset as well, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to work with our partners, as I've talked about before. That is the only way to fight crime and deal with the 10% of offenders that cause us most of our work. And we work with our partners in probation, parole, Lethbridge Police, Tabor Police, Blood Tribe, and our partners in federal now with the border issues that we're having. We have a lot more presence down here with border patrol. Sheriffs are pitching in with that. So we've really done, there's a lot more police presence and just enforcement on the border side of things, which is good for the communities down here as well. More members, more visibility. For the community consultations, I'm not gonna, they're there for you to review. Just some of the highlights, we continue to get the Coaldale Citizens on Patrol group up and running, and I believe they're going to be making their first patrols here within the month, which is awesome. And our R.C.M.P liaison and myself will work with that group to make sure they get off to a good start and get some good input from the community there. We did, as I spoke before, we did our town hall meeting in October. That was very well attended again, and in conjunction with the town's community services and all the community or all the services that the town offers. I think it's a great way for residents to come talk to all the services that that are available to them. We spent 2 members at the Seniors Expo at the community center. There must have been 200 or 300 seniors that came through there. We brought lots of stuff, and they took all of it. They love the pins and the pens and stuff, and lots of good questions. Really, we focused on the fraud and the scams that are going around, and they're getting very, very, very savvy with it. So we just want to make sure that we protect all of us, especially our seniors who may not be as tech savvy as others and get talked into things. So that was a really good event, and we'll be glad to participate in that again. And we did the United Lights Parade. Again, it was pretty darn cold out, but a good event. And we had 90 toys donated, which is really good. And we passed that around to Victim Services and FCSS to be handed out. One thing I'll talk about the last consultation is the Regional Victim Services. As we all know, that has changed as of October. We have the 2 new staff that are full-time that are up and running in our detachment now, and they're trying to figure out how the program works, and it's like starting over because the old people left and the new started. So it was a bit of a learning curve for sure, and I think now we're in a position where pretty much every detachment and police agency in Alberta is getting the same level of victim services. It's a standard formatted way of doing it, and I think if we give them a bit of time to grow, they'll get their volunteers in order. And we have a really good relationship with the 2 ladies that are working in our office now, and we'll continue to see how that model goes and how that delivery is presented to the public. I'll stop there. If there was any questions on that, that's a lot of information there. And then I'll get into the actual stats for Q3 and the year end.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments for the Staff Sergeant? I think we're good to go.
Awesome, thank you. So I think Lana will go to the stats. So that the first set of statistics we won't spend a lot of time on. So that's for Q3 itself, October to December, from 2020 to 2024. So it gives you a snapshot for the last 5 years of the types of calls that we're dealing with in the town of Coaldale for that time period. Again, the percentages look big, the jumps, but the numbers are small. So for example, criminal harassment went from 1 in 2023 to 3 in 2024, which shows a 200% change, which is drastic when you look at it, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty small numbers, an increase of 2. So nothing really jumped out at me here, with the exception of your break and enters from 8 to 12, and your theft and theft unders from 9 to 17 for the last 2 years. So a bit of a change there for sure. A little bit concerning, we do have a couple houses in this community still that we are continually dealing with, and continue to do so now. So those types of things are on our minds and our patrols, and we're hoping to also get our citizens on patrol people out and about and noticing things, because the more people out there looking, and with the marked van that they have, it will also be a deterrent, because it's not hidden. They're not driving around secretly. So we hope that will help for sure. And along with that goes that your mischiefs are up a little bit from the year before, from 12 to 16, and fail to complies are up a lot as well, which is basically anybody that's released on a condition. Let's say they're charged with assault and they have a condition, they don't abide by it, they get a charge of fail to comply or breach of that condition. So those are up as well. If you go to page 2 on the October to December stats. Thank you. Much the same. I know I spoke before about the Mental Health Act, and when I look back at the last, this is only for the quarter, I look back at the last 5 years. Just depends on the year, but we've had as high as 28 and as low as 8 in 2023. So there's not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason, other than maybe 2021 and 2022 were during COVID and people were struggling a little bit. And it's higher again now due to inflation maybe, and pressures and financial things. We do have the RPAC team, the mental health nurse, and our member, who are a huge help to our members all around Southern Alberta, and take a lot of those types of calls from them, and they're professionals and are able to deal with it. So that's really good. That's all I have for the quarter stats. I also provided you with this. We've got at the end of December, they did up a snapshot of the whole year from 2020 to 2024. So it kind of gives you a good idea year over year what we're looking at for types of crime in the community. Again, when I look at down the list here, the numbers aren't huge, the fluctuations. But some of the things that we are aware of that are concerning is the assaults. So the last 2 years, 2023 assaults were down to 36, up to 52 in 2024. But I look back, and before that they were as high or higher. So pretty average all the way through, I would say. I guess the bottom line is we do have some people that we continually deal with, whether it be families or friends that can't seem to get along, and we end up dealing with lots of calls for service there, and resulting in some charges at times. Same with the criminal harassment. Domestic violence is predominant and has been in all our communities, and those types of communications or following people, stalking, etc., like those things, those are those types of calls. The other ones are that showed significant increases or not were the frauds. They went up from 2020 all the way to 2024, 52. It's 117% increase. So we do know that that's prevalent, and that's an easy crime for people to commit. That's hard to get caught at doing it. So I think people are starting to figure that out maybe, and they're reporting it to us, which is good, and we'll continue to promote the education to try and prevent that. When I look down page 2, drug enforcement continues. We had 7 charges for drug trafficking in 2024, which I believe I spoke about a couple quarters ago. Some good work by our members to deal with some of the local issues there. And also some other cannabis enforcement. some other federal enforcement under the CDSA or the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. There's not really anything that jumped out at me. I guess if you look at injury MVCs, it went up 1,400%, which I find hard to believe. I don't know how we went from 1 injury MVC in 2020 to 15 in 2024, but maybe we're driving faster or there's some issue with those stats early on, although they're pretty low the first 3 years. But again, the percentage shows a huge increase, but the numbers are not real big. We do have that major Highway 3 going through our town with 3 intersections that we do see a fair amount of collisions. And if we're going to get any injuries, those would be the ones that'll be at because of the big trucks and the speed. If we go down to common police activities, the things that keep us busy, continuing to see lots of calls for service for false alarms, 911 calls, suspicious persons, vehicles, which means that people are actually calling the police so that we know what's going on and we can respond or get a plan in place if there's a particular area that has a problem. And then spousal abuse, again, continues to be fairly consistent in frequency. So that's a lot of files to investigate in a year. That's a problem that we have in our communities that I'm not sure what the answer is. There's alcohol and drug abuse that goes along with that and a bunch of things. So we need to come together as a community to work on that. That would be all I have for the statistics. Statistics are only as good as people that report them to us are. So, if things are happening that aren't getting reported, they're not showing up in here, and then we can't act on it. But that's my year-end summary for our stats. And if there was questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant. I'll open it up to members of council. Any questions, comments? Deputy Mayor Councillor Chapman.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and through to Staff Sergeant. Thank you so much for this comprehensive report. Just 2 questions here. Number 1, with regards to municipal bylaws, I see that you are recording quite a bit. So would you be able to elaborate what your definition of municipal bylaws are and where they fit in within our municipality?
For sure. Thanks for the question. Municipal bylaws are any bylaw that the town of Coaldale has enacted. Right now, there is limited resources with the CPOs and the CPO program for the town of Coaldale. Along with that, a lot of our times our members are working at 4 in the morning. For example, last week we had a noise complaint that loud music. Some of those bylaws you have to find committing. So that means our members are the ones finding committing, so we issue the tickets. But for the most part, it's things like parking, noise enforcement, those types of bylaws that our members deal with. A lot of times we get the call and we will then phone over to CPO Anderson and he will either work with us or take over the file from us. But we usually are the first call for that, like animal complaints or stray dogs, those types of things. So we deal with whatever comes in, and if there's nobody available, our members will deal with it if time permits, or we'll pass it on to Mark for the next day or whenever he's back on shift.
Thank you. And Mayor, if my follow-up question is a follow-up to your last comments there with regards to suspicious persons, vehicle property. I see these are pretty high numbers, and I'm assuming that people are reporting seeing someone or some activity on the street and posting it on social media as an example, and be aware of this person. And the response I saw back from one incident was that the person said, well, unless they're doing something illegal, there's nothing you can do. So I'm assuming that these numbers are from people who are reporting perceptions. Could I be correct on that?
Yeah, for sure. And we all read social media, and you know the big question in this town is the people riding bikes in the middle of winter when it's minus 50 out. It's not illegal to ride a bike minus 50 on the road. Okay, so but the problem is that there has been some things linked to people on bikes, not necessarily that person. I know a lot of people ride bikes to work in the cities, no matter what the weather. The problem is that, you know, we can't take somebody's rights and liberties and just pat them down or do whatever on the street. We have to find them committing or have reason to believe that they've done something illegal. So yes, to answer your question, people are definitely calling us more than I would say before about those types of instances, not just people on bikes. I just use that because I know that's a thing on social media for sure. But if something doesn't look right, we encourage people to call. Our members will check it out. And then, you know, moving forward, we can link in Citizens on Patrol as well. If there's an area of town that there seems to be a pattern, we can say, okay, can you guys focus on this for the next couple of weeks when you're out and help us out that way. So.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? So Mike, can you just give us an update where we're at in our request for the 10th officer, the timelines?
Well, I can advise you, our staffing levels for the town for the last quarter, we were at 9 out of 10. So that 10th position has not been filled yet. I'm still in the process of switching that over to the plainclothes position. Historically, I don't think we've had even when we were at 9, you guys were never fully at the 9 due to leave or absences or just vacancies. I do know province-wide, they are starting to catch up with the vacancies. The problem is that there are a lot of smaller detachments with 4 members, and they're down to 2 that need a member sooner than we do here. So that's how they're distributing the members on a priority basis for public safety and police officer safety. I have been told that position will be filled within the next 3 months, 3 to 6 months, or somebody will be named. So that is where we're at. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be somebody from depot or if that's going to be an experienced police officer. I understand that we may be getting an experienced police officer that's going to transition from another police agency to the R.C.M.P. So I will keep everybody updated on that. But we're at 9 out of 10 right now.
Okay, thank you. Last opportunity, questions, comments? Well, thank you once again, Staff Sergeant, for your very in-depth report. Seeing no more questions, could I get someone to make a motion that council receive the R.C.M.P. year-end statistics update as information? Deputy Mayor Reis makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Staff Sergeant. We're just going to jump down under council and committee reports, agenda item 10.1. We have Deputy Mayor Reis giving her update on the Emergency Advisory Committee. Whenever you're ready, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. Good evening, Council. Tonight, I will provide an update from the Emergency Advisory Committee. Before diving into our recent achievements, I'd like to briefly outline the committee's purpose and structure. The Emergency Advisory Committee was established to provide guidance, vision, decision-making, oversight, and policy development for Coaldale's emergency management program. The committee ensures the development and annual review of the Municipal Emergency Plan, maintaining Coaldale's preparedness for emergencies and disasters. It bridges the connection between council, the community, and emergency management experts, ensuring public safety remains a top priority within our town. The committee consists of 1 council member appointed annually, and I've proudly been on the committee since 2021, and 3 citizen members serving 1-year terms, 2 of which have been on the committee for multiple years. The Director of Emergency Management, also known as the DEM, serves as the chair during our meetings, offering technical and administrative support but no voting rights. Meetings occur at a minimum of 3 times per year with additional meetings as needed. The goal of this committee is to have one tabletop exercise a year, a functional exercise at least every 2 years, and a full-scale exercise at the discretion of the emergency management, of the EAC or the DEM. When a full-scale exercise occurs, it can take the place of a functional exercise. During our most recent meeting in November, we reviewed several critical plans and schedules. Terms of reference, which were reviewed after the council organizational meeting in October, and no changes were required. Emergency Management Plan Review Schedule, up to date and fully functional. Stormwater Operations Plan, performing well, requiring no updates. We also discussed 6 training updates, which remain a core focus, and they are a section chiefs involving monthly 1-hour sessions, incident management team involving quarterly training, our ICS courses, ICS 100 ongoing throughout the year, ICS 200 scheduled for January and September, ICS 300 scheduled for April of 2025. Our functional exercise for 2024 was conducted on May 7th during Emergency Preparedness Week, focusing on road hazmat scenarios. We had 3 tabletop exercises conducted in preparation for the summer games, and the dates for those were May 30th, June 6th, and June 20th, in which myself, the mayor, and some members of council were present for. The Planning P workshop is scheduled for September 2025, and I've actually emailed the description of that to all members of council. Additionally, the Council Emergency Management Framework was reviewed, and recommendations for improvements will be presented by the Fire Chief at a future meeting. May 5th to 11th was Emergency Preparedness Week and was hugely successful and included Disasters Corner, which has become a pinnacle event drawing larger crowds than ever, offering engaging and educational activities. A highlight of the event was the Junior Firefighters Challenge, hugely popular among children ages 4 to 12, organized by Red Swing Productions and sponsored by the Coaldale and District Egg Society and the Kinsman Club of Coaldale. The challenge left a lasting impression on these young minds, and plans are already underway for 2025, including securing sponsorships and bringing back key partners like Fortis. Disasters Corner was the finale of the Emergency Preparedness Week, held on May 11th. It is a community-based event showcasing public safety and preparedness. It brought together organizations including Coaldale and District Emergency Services, EMS, Coaldale R.C.M.P, Coaldale Municipal Enforcement, Alberta Health Services, Kate Andrew Fire and Emergency Services Academy, and the Salvation Army, which provided lunch for attendees. Another memorable feature was the kids' coloring contest, with winners enjoying an extra special prize to be picked up by firefighters from school and lunch at Dairy Queen. Truly unforgettable experience for these young minds. The event emphasized the importance of being prepared, offering interactive and educational opportunities for residents to connect with emergency response professionals. Thank you to all the agencies, volunteers, and sponsors who contributed to the success of this community event. Remember that preparedness starts now by having an emergency supply kit ready for a minimum of 72 hours, including for pets, and knowing what to do in emergencies. Preparedness helps keep everyone safe and allows emergency responders to focus on those in the greatest need. Thank you, Council, and I look forward to any questions.
Thank you. I'll open up to members of council. Any questions, comments? Councillor Beekman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that presentation, Lisa. I just wanted to ask about ICS 300. It's only offered April 2025 this year. Is it offered once a year, though?
It's usually offered twice a year. For some reason, it's only being offered once this year.
Okay, but so for 2026, the expectation would be that it'd be twice then.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Well, thank you for your in-depth report. You continue to set the bar high for the rest of council. If there's no more questions, would you entertain making a motion to adopt the Emergency Advisory Committee update as information?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving back up to new business agenda item 8.2, we have the Kinette Club of Coaldale request for table sponsorship and silent auction prize. And we have our Municipal Clerk, Lana Antony, presenting. Lana, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor and members of Council. The Kinette Club of Coaldale is a long-standing fundraising group, local organization. They fund local projects and promote community engagement. And they have submitted a request to Council for a fundraising event that they have coming up on April 12th that involves a dinner and silent auction, and it will be held at the Prairie Wind Secondary School. And they're requesting for help from Council for a table sponsorship of $900 and or a donation of an item for their silent auction.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for our presenter? So, Lana, you were sharing some information about a possible silent auction item. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, for other community groups in the past, as a donation for a silent auction item, we have provided a certificate which is good to the organization or whoever is the successful bidder on the prize, and it is good for a rental at any of the town-owned facilities, which could include the Birds of Prey, like the Kin Picnic Shelter, the community center, and now our new atrium. It could include at the, my memory escapes me now, there are 5 also at the pool. You could have a pool party. So it is a great prize to give away and is usually a very highly sought after item.
Thank you. I'm just passing one of those certificates around for council to take a look at. So once again, the options are that we can do a silent auction item. And I'm sorry, Lana, if you could just repeat that for, like, it's $150 value, and that is good at any one of our recreation facilities.
It's a minimum value of $150 at any of the facilities, and they are also requesting a table sponsorship for $900.
And just to be clear, it's one or the other or both.
They submitted 2 requests, 1 for each, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Beekman, can you pass that back this way? So, while we're just passing this around, is there any appetite for one of the available motion options? Councillor Abrey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm willing to make a motion that we provide them with both. We do the $900 table sponsorship as well as a donation of the facility rental.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor to purchase 1 table for $900 and 1 silent auction certificate valued at $150. Is there any further comments, questions on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Lana. Moving on to information items. We have minutes from the Southern Alberta Canada Association, their AGM meeting on January 17th. We have the Coaldale Chamber of Commerce meeting minutes from January the 8th. And we have the Barons Eureka Warner FCSS board meeting minutes from December the 4th. And finally, we have the Coaldale and Regional Pet and Animal Wellness Society meeting minutes from January the 8th. Are there any questions, comments on either of those? Councillor Abrey and then Deputy Mayor Reis.
Thank you again, Mayor. Just on 12.3, the Barron's, the FCSS, sorry. I noticed on there April 2nd, there is a function happening in our atrium. Is that something that we should be having in our calendars?
I'll have our council representative, Councillor Chapman, answer that question.
Thank you, Mayor, and through to Councillor Abrey. Yes, absolutely. I'd encourage all of council to attend. It is an all councils event, whereby the 13 members of Barron's or of FCSS would be attending this event. That'll be all the council members, so it's an all councils event.
And I believe I sent the calendar invite out for that one on April the 2nd. Is that the correct date, April 2nd?
Sorry, Mayor, I have two events happening. This one is the Highway 3 twinning. We'll be having our meeting here as well, and then FCSS as well, having their all councils event.
Okay, we'll clarify that date and I'll make sure I'll adjust that calendar invite. Deputy Mayor Reis.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. On agenda item 12.4, I noticed that they are spelling Councillor Abrey's name wrong.
Thank you. I'll have our municipal clerk let them know. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council receive items 12.1 to 12.4 as information? Councillor Chapman makes that motion. Any further discussion?
12.4 as amended.
12.4 as amended. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So that concludes the open portion of the meeting. I'll require a motion at 5:42 p.m. that council move into closed session in accordance with section 197-4-B of the Municipal Government Act to discuss matters exempt from disclosure for items 13.1 subject to sections 21 intergovernment relations, items 13.1 and 13.2 subject to section 24 advice from officials, items 13.2 and 13.5 subject to section 25 economic and other interests of a public body, item 13.3 and 13.5 subject to section 16 business interests of a third party, item 13.4 subject to section 19 confidential evaluations, and finally item 13.5 subject to section 17 personal privacy. Who cares to make that motion? Councillor Saylor makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So thank you everyone for coming out to support Deputy Mayor Reis. Now we're going to be moving into closed session and we have to